Hello and welcome to my property investing masterclass. Now I'm super pumped that you're all here today. I'd like to say thanks to each and every one of you that is here to join us. And today I'm going to be guiding you through the exciting world that is property investment and how you can get started investing into property with little or limited amounts of funds. Now today we're going to focus on how to start generating cash from property and create that lifestyle that you have always wanted. Today, I'm going to open your eyes to the massive possibilities that are out there and how you can start living the life on your terms. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm James Bennett and I'm a property developer based here in the West Midlands. I've been investing into property for 11 years now, and over that period of time, I've built up £1 million property portfolio from scratch that consists of single-let properties, HMOs, serviced accommodation units, and it's all from doing this simple property investing strategy that I'm here to learn you today. Now, all of this has created me multiple streams of income. So come Monday morning, I do not need to worry about waking up and going to work for somebody else on their terms. I live life on my terms, and this is exactly here what I'd like to teach you today. Now, I've got 11 years in the business, and as you can imagine, I've made a number of small mistakes along the way, but I've now ironed out all the kinks, and I've got proven methods in place that we use on a day-to-day basis so I can show you the correct way to do things. So you can skip making any costly mistakes, saving you time, money, and stress. And I can also get you to where you want to be in life in the shortest amount of time possible. So let's start looking at it in more depth. And let's start looking at the rent-to-rent strategy and the massive benefits it has over any other investment strategy that I know. So I'm just going to guide you through on how today's session is going to go. So throughout today's session, we will explain the rent-to-rent strategy and the benefits. There's going to be a comments box below where you can get all your questions answered. And remember, there's no such thing as a silly question, so don't be shy and ask away. There's going to be lots of information throughout this presentation, and I don't want you to miss nothing. So make sure you've got yourself a notepad and a pen and try and go somewhere where there are no distractions and you can absorb all of the information that is here today. So let's get started. So this strategy is all about controlling assets. Now, you've all heard of the taxi firm called Uber. Now, Uber don't actually own any of their taxis, believe it or not. They just control the taxis and they simply skim the profits off the top. Uber's model is very similar to this property investing strategy that I'm going to teach you today. We simply control properties and we skim the profits off the top, usually a minimum amount per month of £750 in profit from each property. And the best part of it is we don't have to purchase any properties, just like Uber don't have to purchase any taxis. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this in simple terms. It's not complicated and you don't need loads of money to start. So stay tuned. We're in for an exciting 30 minutes on how to unlock the power of this money-making property investment strategy. So when I was first setting out in property investing, I used rent-to-rent as a stepping stone to get me started into property. It enabled me to dip my toe into property investing without having to outlay any massive deposits. It also enabled me to build a solid monthly income that I then saved up and used that as a deposit to purchase property. And we haven't looked back since. We've been purchasing property in this way ever since. And this is the same journey what I want to take you guys on. Now, without rent-to-rent, none of this would have been possible. And as my success grew in the property investment scene I had more and more people reaching out to me, asking what I did and how I became so successful in such a short amount of time. So I started helping people here and there, and I really got a buzz out of helping people. So I decided to develop a mentorship program that helps aspiring property entrepreneurs just like yourself find success in property investing using the same techniques that I used and still use today. So I'm guessing you've all joined me here today because you want financial freedom. Maybe you're fed up of working your 9-to-5 job, making your boss rich, and you just want a better life. Maybe you want some extra money in the bank for your pension or for your family's future. Now, all of this can be achieved and has been time after time by myself and also many of my students using this simple, untapped property investing strategy. So what is it? What is rent to rent? Rent to rent is when you simply act as a property manager for a landlord. You then let out the rooms on an individual basis and you create a house of multiple occupation, otherwise known as a HMO. Or you let out the property on a night by night basis, creating a holiday let, the kind of properties that you find featured on Airbnb and Booking.com. This is also known as serviced accommodation. So how do you acquire these properties in the first place? Well, firstly, it starts with doing a lot of due diligence. You'll need to know how to assess individual properties. You'll need to know how to assess individual deals and areas to make sure you are undertaking the right properties in the right areas and to know which one is going to create you the biggest return on investment, so you know which property in particular to target. You're also going to need to know how to find the suitable landlords that are going to want to work with us. Now, like with any business, there are some legal contracts in place. You know, like with any company, with anything you do in life, you're going to need to know how to set up your company correctly. You're also going to need to know how to trade legally. You don't want to get caught out illegally subletting rooms like some rogue landlords do. We simply don't cut corners. We've invested thousands of pounds to create legal document packs that we use on a daily basis to enable us to trade as a legal company within the UK. Within them contracts, it's got everything built in there to cover our backs as well. They enable us to manage properties and to use properties as HMOs or holiday lets on behalf of the landlord. Now, typically in the UK, if you want to get into property investing, you're going to need to put down a 20% deposit on a property to get started. And that's before you outlay any stamp duty, solicitor's fees, or etc. So let's say if you're looking to get into property investing and you wanted to purchase a property for say 200,000, you are typically going to need at least £45,000 in the bank to purchase that property. Now, if you're anything like me, at the beginning of my journey, I simply did not have access to that type of cash. You could be in a similar situation as well. So this made me think outside the box, and this is how I got started into rent to rent. Now, through years of hard work, I'm now in a position to use my own capital to purchase properties outright for cash. And what we do with these properties is we refurbish the properties and we add massive value to the properties. We then either flip the property or we hold on to the property and recycle our cash using another method called BRR. And this is how the journey went. It all started with rent to rent. We saved up deposits, we purchased properties, and now we fully develop properties on a day-to-day basis and work closely with our students to bring them through exactly the same journey as we went on. Now, don't forget, this is a simple and effective way to start investing into property. You've got relatively low risk and extremely low entry fee as opposed to a buy-to-let route. Now, we're going to show you how to set up a company and how to start trading legally. Then we're going to show you how to find deals and how you can start making money through property. So the first thing to do is to register the company. You're obviously going to need a name. And I think choosing the name is the fun part. It doesn't need to be anything amazing. Just keep it simple and try not to overthink it. Step number 2, you're going to need a business bank account. It goes without saying, if you set up a company, you need a business bank account. So you need to set one of them up in the company name. We tend to use online bank accounts. The ones we use at the moment are called Sterling and Tide, and they're quick and simple to set up. Step number 3, you are going to need insurance to protect yourself and your tenants whilst they're in the property, and also the landlords who you work with. So you've got public indemnity insurance and public liability insurance. You need to have both of these things in place in order for you to trade legally as a rent-to-rent company. Step number 4, anti-money laundering regulations. Now, if you're going to be handling lots of deposits from tenants, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be, you are going to have a lot of data around you. And also, if you're handling lots of tenants' money, there's a thing called anti-money laundering. So you need to comply with anti-money laundering for you to be a legal entity, and failure to do so could result in a nasty fine. So once you've got your anti-money laundering in place, the next step is step number 5. You need to go to a property ombudsman. Now, this is a legal obligation for you to register your company with a government-backed scheme. Now, there are 2 companies out there what you can register with. You've got the property ombudsman, the TPO, and you've also got the property redress scheme. A hard one to say, but redress scheme anyway. Again, I'll go into more detail on all of these steps during any of our mentorship and coaching programs. Step number 6 is data protection. So, like I said before, you're probably going to be handling a lot of data on a daily basis from different tenants and clients, etc. And the law states that you must comply with data protection, so you're going to need to register with the ICO. Now, it's a simple, straightforward registration. Take you 5 minutes to do. There's a small charge, and this just makes sure that you are handling all the data correctly. So all the boring parts out of the way. Next thing, step 7, you're going to need a business email. At the end of the day, you are going to be contacting estate agents and landlords, and you need to create a good impression. So you need to have a professional email in place along with company letterheads and logos, etc. All you need to do, jump on to G Suite on Google, register for a professional email, small yearly charge, but it's well worth it. And finally, there are a few other things to consider as well. Like I said before, you're probably going to want a company logo to put on all your letterheads. You may want to consider having a website, so it looks like you've got everything there in place. Also, business cards are good. You can hand them out to letting agents and estate agents, landlords when you're meeting with them. It just tells people what you do, and it shows that you actually mean business. So there are the simple 8 steps to setting up a rent-to-rent company. So I hope you're all enjoying today's masterclass so far. And please don't forget to drop those comments below. If you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them as quickly as possible. And I hope that you've all been taking notes. So let's have a look at the benefits of rent-to-rent. Let's start with the profits. Right, so one of the main profits, obviously, with rent-to-rent is profit. If you're going to be running a business, the whole point of running a business is to make a profit. Now, Luckily, rent to rent is highly profitable. We receive between £750 and up to £1,500 per month by letting out individual rooms to tenants with very little effort, and we do not need large sums of money to start off with. All we need is a pot of money to get a property ready. And when we do spend that small pot of money to get a property ready, which is normally around £5,000, we always recuperate that money within 6 months. So we're getting a return on investment. All our money's coming back to us after 6 months. Once we've set up a rent-to-rent property, another bonus is all of the rents, what we collect through the rent-to-rent property, are exempt from VAT. Now, another question you might be thinking, what's in it for the landlord? Why would the landlord hand the property over to you when they could simply manage it for themselves? Right, to start off with, when you find the right property, i.e. a tired, student, slightly run-down property, 9 times out of 10, that landlord is normally an elderly landlord. They're later on in the life, they're coming up to the 50s, and they simply just want as little stress as possible in their lives. They want to hand over the property to you, get a guaranteed monthly rent, and not have to be chasing around after tenants and dealing with maintenance issues. We come along and we create a win-win situation, not only for us, but for the landlord for years to come, giving them a regular monthly income and keeping the property up to a very high standard. That landlord also gets to keep the property as his investment, and that investment goes up in value year after year. The property is also kept to a very high standard once it is under our control. The landlord will always get the property back from us in a better condition than what we found it in. So we're looking after his asset. His asset's increasing in value. He's getting a monthly guaranteed rent for the next 3 to 5 years. It's a very compelling proposition what we are giving to that landlord. And that is how we get to get the properties from the landlord. So let's have a look at the traditional property investing strategies, what you've all heard of. Now, you've all heard of the buy-to-let property investing strategy. Why don't we just go out and do that? Well, firstly, if you are looking to do this buy-to-let property investing method and you want to get a house of, say, 100,000, you're going to need a 20 to a 25% deposit to purchase that house, which is £25,000. You're also going to need stamp duty and solicitor's fees. So let's say we're coming in at £29,000. Once you start paying the mortgage on that property is going to cash flow you around about £500 per calendar month, which for an investment of around near enough £30,000 is not a great deal. Now, rent to rent costs a fraction of that to get started. Each rent to rent deal we can set up for around about £5,000 per deal, as opposed to a £25,000 to £30,000 investment into a buy-to-let property. Now, with that £5,000 initial investment into rent-to-rent, we will make a minimum profit of £750 profit in each month. So effectively, rent-to-rent is 7.5 times more profitable than the traditional buy-to-let property investing method. So you can quickly see why rent-to-rent is so compelling. So let's compare the rent-to-rent HMO method. So you've got 6 individual rooms within the property and you're renting them out to tenants. You can charge anything from £550 per tenant upwards per room. Now, say if one of those tenants in that property stops paying the rent for whatever reason, you've still got 5 paying tenants in that property. So you're always going to be able to cover the rent, what's going to the landlord, and you're always still going to be making a profit, because effectively you're only losing 1/5 of your income if somebody within that property stops paying. But if you've got a buy-to-let investment with a family in there and the family stops paying, you effectively lose 100% of your rent. So rent to rent is also way more secure than doing buy-to-let property investing. Another great benefit to rent is there are no solicitors to deal with. There is no lengthy acquisition phase. You can find a deal and have the keys to that property in the matter of days without waiting the standard 4 to 6 months that it typically takes for a property sale to go through in the UK. Furthermore, with the beauty of rent to rent, securing one deal normally leads to another. Once you take on a property with a landlord, the likelihood is that they'll own more properties. The likelihood is that that landlord is going to own more than one property. 9 times out of 10, when you take on a property from a landlord, he's probably got 2 or 3 more, and he'll definitely have a family friend or a member who is a landlord who wants a similar hands-off property investment. Now, this relies on you doing a good job for the landlord in the first place. Then, of course, what they'll do is recommend you because they feel that they can rely on you. You're taking the investment off their hands, giving them little stress as possible and paying them an agreed amount every month on time. These are the benefits what we offer to the landlord. Now, the benefits of what you offer to landlords with the rent-to-rent strategy is so compelling that we can easily secure properties on long-term rental agreements. Like a typical agreement, what we take on with a landlord is between 3 and 5 years to manage that property. Now, this is something that you agree with the landlord at the start of the deal negotiation, and we use a legally binding contract. So that landlord can't just turn around after 3 months and decide this it's not for him. Because if you've invested money into that property, then it needs to be a legally binding contract so you can manage that property for that amount of time, which covers our back and allows us to recuperate our investment from that property. Right then, let's break the cost down and what we actually use the initial investment into rent to rent for. Now, a typical rent to rent deal, a setup fee is normally around about £5,000. Now, I've done rent to rent deals for a lot less than £5,000. But if you're serious about property investing, having £5,000 in a pot is recommended, because this isn't going to limit you to deals then. If you find a deal and it needs £5,000 spending, but you've only got £1,000, then you're not going to be able to take on that deal. And it can burn some bridges with estate agents and letting agents, etc. So before you start, we always recommend you've got at least £5,000 in a pot. And what that pays for is to bring the property up to a decent standard, new liquor paint and new furniture to make the property lovely, modern and appealing to your new tenants. So moving on, the extra benefits are there are no solicitors, no lengthy acquisition phase, no waiting on the sale to go through, solicitors messing you about, etc. There's no bidding wars, because in the UK, this is crazy for bidding wars. You might see a house at 100,000, then somebody else offers 105, then it's 107. You go into a stupid bidding war. Now, there's none of this with rent-to-rent investing. You find a deal and you can get the keys in a matter of days. I mean, we've agreed on deals before and collected the keys 7 days later. Now, if you're purchasing a buy-to-let property, you're not going to be seeing keys for 6 months, even up to 8 months, if the sale goes through on time and everything works out properly. And like I said before, one deal always leads to another deal with rent to rent. It opens up many possibilities. So I'll explain how to secure rent to rent deals, and I'll also make more sense of why we need that £5,000 at the start to set up a rent to rent deal. Now, to get a rent to rent deal, we target slightly rundown properties. I don't mean properties what are falling apart. I mean properties with good bones, but they're looking tired on the inside. So they need new carpets, they need a fresh lick of paint, and they just need a bit of modernisation inside. The furniture looks dated, etc. Now, this is one of our key points, and this is how we target landlords. Because we're targeting these properties what are looking a bit tired, a little bit run down, that allows us to approach the landlord who is normally in a position where he's getting a bit desperate to get the property rented out. It's probably sitting there costing him money. So we find these tired properties and we offer the landlord a killer deal where we not only take on his tired property off his hands quickly and provide him with a guaranteed monthly rent, but we also provide the property with the much needed care and attention that it needs. We put some modern furniture in there, we update the property, new lick of paint, feature walls, new carpets, and make the property appeal to the target audience, what we're trying to target. So we'll refurbish the property, like I said, with a lick of paint, bit of new furniture, and the landlord then gets to offload his property quickly. He receives that guaranteed rent every month from us without having to chase multiple tenants. He's not having to deal with any, say, maintenance issues or anything like that. So what we do, we approach the landlord, we offer him the deal, we then get him to sign a company-let agreement, and using the right agreement is crucial. And I'll show you how to use the agreements. It's in all the packs, any of our mentorship programs, any of our training, you get the packs in there. So in short, once you sign the agreement, it allows us to take care of any property needs. If the property needs anything doing, we take on the management of the property. We deal with all the maintenance. We're giving the landlord a hands-off, completely hands-off property investment. We deal with all the maintenance. We deal with all the tenants. And when we switch from targeting the lower end of tenants to the higher end of the tenants, that is how we make a monthly substantial profit. Now, with rent to rent, the offer to the landlord, providing you can find the right landlord and the right property, is that compelling to the landlord. They are happy to hand over properties to us time and time again. Now, most landlords and most people only believe that there is one side to the HMO market, and that's the tired, rundown, student kind of properties on a lower income. But right now, in the UK, there is a massive shortage of higher end shared accommodation for young working professionals that want that affordable way of living and a more luxurious and modern environment. We target this audience by choosing our decor carefully and having high quality professional photographs taken of the property. Now, if you look on the picture on the left hand side of your screen, this is what you normally see when you look at HMO properties. But if you look at the picture on the right hand side of your screen, this is how we present our properties, and this is how we collect those higher rents. Now, typically renting out rooms to students, offering an all bills included package, students can get rooms for around about £300, and this is probably what the landlord has been targeting. The landlord doesn't really know that we can switch it up and then start charging this £700 per calendar month. But this is what we've got to do to target the higher end of the market. We update the rooms, we've got clean, modern furniture, we provide all the mod cons like super fast broadband, fiber optic broadband in every room, nice, clean, modern furniture. We then advertise the property in all the right places with our bright professional photographs of the freshly staged property. That is how we're able to charge this much higher room rate of an all bills included package. And this is how we make our substantial monthly profits. Like I said before, every property we take on will make a minimum of £750 a month. And that is after all bills are paid. That's to the landlord, to the water company, to the council tax, to the cleaners, to the gardeners. That is everything. So a minimum amount we would take on a property is £750 per calendar month. So with just a few rent-to-rent properties, you can be making in excess of £2,500 per month. But how do you find these good rent-to-rent properties? This is a process we call deal sourcing, and we do this for you in our mentorship program. And we also teach you exactly how to do this for yourself so you can go off into the future and do it time and time again. Now, we find these deals up and down the country on a day-to-day basis, and we always make sure we source these deals within a 50-mile radius of where we live or where our students live. Now, we always thoroughly check the tenant demand in that area and compare the room rates with similar properties located close by to ensure that we've got the rents bang on and provide a steady flow of tenants. That's how we optimize the amount we can charge. So if you like the sound of this, please drop your comments in the box below and let me know how much money per month you're going to need to become financially free and quit that 9-to-5 job. Also, I'd like to know what's currently holding you back and what is your dream scenario. How much money per month do you want to make? Drop it in the comments below and let us know exactly how much. Then what we can do, we can work out exactly how many deals you're going to need to say goodbye to that 9-to-5 for life. So, this is the type of accommodation we offer to our tenants. We are offering our tenants high-end affordable living. We're providing all bills included package. So they just pay a one-off monthly fee, get to live in the property, all the electric, gas, council tax, everything is paid for them. And if you see the pictures here on the left-hand side of your screen, this is the kind of modern accommodation what we are providing. You've got weekly cleaners, we've got gardeners going in there, and obviously higher quality equals higher rent, which equals better tenants. So we're not having troublesome tenants in the property. It's a great way to make sure you've just got the best tenants in your property and you've got a really good business model. So how do I actually get started? Now, if you're really serious and you'd like to set up your very own rent-to-rent company, you're in the right place. Today, for a limited time only, we are opening our free rent-to-rent accelerator call for you to have the chance to book a call with me personally so I can guide you through the whole process, the whole A to Z of rent-to-rent. Now, this is not open to anyone. We've got limited numbers of people that we'll work with. We can only schedule in a limited number of calls. So if you're serious, keep your eyes peeled because in a moment there's going to be a button pop up what you can click, which will direct you straight to my calendar so you can book a call which will suit us both. Now, you've got to be serious. If you're looking to get into property investing, that's when you hit the button. That's when you schedule the call. And if you've made it this far, I can see that you're serious and that you are ready to make the change. And anyone can make the change, no matter who you are, what your background is. It's all about the action you take today and every other day. Now, the consultation call with myself is no obligation, and I can explain more about the programs, what we offer to our students. I'll answer all of those questions, and like I said before, only jump on the call if you're dedicated to making that change and you're ready to start making money from property 100%, so we don't waste each other's time. Now, during the call, I'm going to assess your goals and whether or not we would be a good fit to work together. Now, I don't work with everybody, so please don't be offended if we are not a good fit. Now, if we're not a good fit, I still wish you every luck for the future. You can go and follow me on socials. You can get free advice and education there on how to thrive in property investment using the buy-to-let method, buy, refurbish and refinance, rent to rent. It's all there. But if you're serious and you're looking to make that change today, that's when you can jump on a call. So if you do take action and we're a good fit, we'll also give you the opportunity to come out with us, visit some of our developments live in the flesh, so you can get a real feel for property investing and to see exactly what it's all about. I'm even giving you the added bonus for the first people who take action as an added bonus. Now, this bonus is to come out to us and personally spend the day with you. So we'll come out with you and we're going to assess your target area and we're going to take a tailored approach to anyone we work with. We cover all bases. Now, this strategy is not a one-size-fits-all. We listen to what's holding you back. We ask about your lifestyle and we customize all our coaching plans to fit your needs. Not only will we help you think differently and achieve long-term financial success through property, but we'll also look at improving your daily habits, the way you think, the way you plan your day. We start by setting goals, setting targets, and working towards achieving your dreams. And it all starts here today. So book your call now. Don't delay. Now, I thoroughly believe that your success is also mine. Now, I love meeting up with my students at new properties and seeing their success in the flesh. And remember, if you don't take action, somebody else will. Like I said before, we're going to tailor make all of our packages to suit your needs. And this is the type of dedication we put to all of our coaching. And it all starts today. So I'd like to say a massive thank you to all that have watched today, especially to the ones that have got this far. I truly appreciate your time and hope that you have a wonderful day. I'd like to wish you all the best in the future. Now, I've been James Bennett, the property coach, and I hope we can continue this journey on the other side. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day, everybody. Speak to you soon.